Call the meeting to order. Do the pledge of allegiance and then I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Move the things on standby. Okay, do it again. Wake up. Just the power button.
Come on, earn your wages.
Okay. Press the buttons and ready to. It seems like it's in item 34, raise for Joe. Scratch. Fail. Yeah, it's working.
It's kind of lights.
I say, we put so much effort in doing this nice setup, art, everything.
Did you get rid of that?
All right, Joe, you want to do roll call, please?
Started.
Here.
Dolan. Present. Bailey. Here. Hellman.
Yep.
Frost.
He's excused.
Motion to excuse Joe Frost, session meeting.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion by Thomas, supported by Dolan. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda for Tuesday, May 1st, 2018, in regards to the village council workshop meeting.
Support.
Motion by Dolan, supported by Howland. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Call to the public on non-agenda items. Terry?
So I'm kind of like a bad penny. And we just want to take this, do you want me to stand up or not? No?
Can she see it?
I'll get you.
Final opportunity, while you're discussing your budget, to consider giving us our full 5% franchise fees. A couple things I didn't mention at our last meeting. You asked about high numbers on certain items like sports on the YouTube. The reason being, we air our sports and concerts only twice a week. Once during the week and then once on a Saturday. So for those, that's part of the reason for the high numbers. But for those parents that aren't able to catch it, then they go to YouTube. We did lose funds from AT&T 2 years in a row because they tried to push their customers over to DirecTV. They found out that didn't work, so they've gone back to cable AT&T as of this year, right? Or as of last night. We have events that we cover downtown. Also, it was mentioned that we do a lot of township events, which we do. But just let me name some of the events that we do for the village. On our community access, we did a show called Let's Get Strolling. We continue to run that periodically. And Daybreak, we do concerts in the park, the Soup Stroll, Memorial Day Park, Christmas Parade, Lone Ranger and Homecoming Parades, Scarecrow Festival, Girlfriends Walk, all ribbon cuttings, groundbreakings, economic development, major property sales, DPW issues when we can, dedications, Pollyant Trail opportunities, fire department open houses, church events, all safety issues, museum, and that's not only for this community, but Hadley, Metamora, and Brandon also are in our viewing area. We don't get their funding, but it just seems to spill over. So that's bringing interest into this community. I was at an event the other day and somebody said, I see you on TV. Really, where do you live? Hadley? Okay, that's cool. So, you know, that's helping this community as well. Sorry, I'm shaky. I had a cup of coffee before I came. I was just talking about it makes me shaky. Sorry. Also, I didn't mention that we provide scholarship assistance, or if I did, stop me, to this community's students. We also provide internship opportunities for this community's students, and we also provide church services for the people in this community that are shut in. Those are things that I failed to mention last week, so I just want to remind everybody that we're here, and we, again, like that, and we won't go away. That's it.
Thank you. One quick question. There has been talk about a viewership survey a year or so ago. Did that ever
It
materialize?
did not, but we could do it. That would be a great thing for us. It did not.
Is there any reason it didn't? Just out of
Well,
curiosity?
that kind of failed. That was something that we were going to actually pay Drew to do, and that failed. And then what I did not mention is we need people to cover our events. We need some more part-time people, because we're getting calls every single day to do more stuff. And we just have to say, we might be able to cover it, we might not to be able to, because the 4 people that we have consistently run out of hours by the end of the week. And so it's great to be able to do something like that. That's another reason why our push for getting our funding back, so that maybe one more person would be able to help us cover everything that people are calling about. We have a library call today, that there's a meeting going on at the library that I'd love to cover. It's that MAP group, that human trafficking group. They meet once a month. Sometimes we can hit them, sometimes we can't. I'd love to get that in the face of the community to bring them more aware of it. So yeah, I would love to do that. It's not out of the back of our mind.
Okay. Business, discussion of the 18-19 budget. Joe?
Okay, first and foremost, obviously, when I gave you the bullet points last time we talked about this, the biggest change is rolling the general fund, that now contains the old police fund and communications fund are all one general fund now. So that's the biggest change. So the police department is a department within the general fund now, kind of like other departments are. So on the very top page, your page 1, you'll notice page 1. Says 1 on it. All those departments are listed on the left side, and the police department is, what is it, it's 2 or something? 301, okay, so the police department falls into the general fund now. The only communications part that would have fallen under communications before was A, Robin's wages, and B, there's some healthcare expenses for a couple people that have been retired from communications that are rolled into this as well. I think there's 3 people, and I think we pay around $560 a month for those retirees to Blue Cross. It's a breakdown between township and us, they pay all of it. So those particular costs used to be out in those other funds are now rolled into the police department and that department.
So there are no longer any unemployment or retiree costs or pension issues other than what you just...
Right, the Blue Cross, yep. I don't know who, I don't know, other than seeing the names and the Blue Cross, I don't know if they had a pension or who they were in. I don't know how that was. I think 1 or 2 of them does show up at our MERS things, you might not be collecting yet.
I show up on your report.
Yeah,
collecting that.
right, but I mean, so it's rolled into that cost, but it's into the funding or the, what do you call it, actuarial cost of MERS. But I don't think they're I don't know if they're drawing yet or not. Either way, that's already all figured in MERS, if they're in MERS. One of the things I want to point out, this is expenditures by department. If you turn to page 2, that's the revenues. And it wouldn't all fit on one item, but if you look, a lot of those will find it similar, some things aren't there. But if you turn to page 3, that's where I want to point out the biggest difference you'll see. And I left them highlighted in the audit column, which is that kind of center column highlighted, and the headings are in the dark blue with the white lettering. Top of the line there, 2 years ago, the audit, you had 80,000 come in under violation of court fees. It was again, in the middle column, budgeted for 80,000 this year. I'm dropping it down to 40,000 for the upcoming year as anticipated revenues from court fees and violations. It's down drastically this year.
I was actually going to ask if there's a way to add it to the column, current year to date, so we see
Yes.
what we're doing this year.
I have year-to-date ran here just today. Again, it would be nice if it was in that column. Those are, as of today, well, 430.
Court costs, violations.
Yeah.
So,
Now, because this has the old breakdown, the police is still a separate fund in here. So it's not, you can't lay it side by side, because that's still the communications fund and the police fund. Well, now, in the new budget, they're rolled into the general fund. So it's a little tougher to compare them side by side under that part of the police fund.
in previous years, did we just overestimate what we thought we would be taking in, or we cut?
That line here is, it was 80,000 on the audit, from the 16-17 audit revenue. Part of it is, when Mr. Stovall there was out there a lot of years, he was pretty active. Last year, there was a lot of changes taking place, him coming in off the street, taking a while to get that back, and, other people to step up and get in those places. So I'm sure that had a lot to do with it.
Yeah, quite honestly, I don't know where they came up with that, but that's a high figure.
And I'm only basing it on the audit, 2 years ago, or 16-17 audit, so.
Was Churchill doing, some commercial vehicles?
He's doing that,
Yeah, a
too.
couple big commercial vehicles,
Yeah.
I think.
We're gonna get more involved in that too as the summer starts too. We're gonna do some, texting and driving things and things like that, so, we're gonna get pretty active coming up, so.
So that's one of those 4 highlighted yellow columns in the revenues that aren't gonna be there this year as nearly as much. The other one is the rent. You had $20,000 2 years ago. Well, that was the Parks and Rec rent and stuff like that. That's dropped down to 6,000 this year, and that 6,000 made up of 3,000 from the AA meetings out back and 3,000 from the chamber in here combined. So again, they're a little bit different in the funding, the revenue ends. Then the middle one, the admin fees, the $280,000, and you see 0 this year. Rather than allocate certain costs of employees to certain areas, the DPW or the water or sewer, it was more of a, let's just take X and move it over. As I explained to you guys, the way I approach it is, with the sheet I gave everyone at the last time, all the employees are broken down to where their time and energies is spent. And so this is how we're extracting money back from any of those funds. Basically, we try to be as accurate as we can. Say if Vicki out front is processing sewer and water payments all day long for a week, 10% of her wages and all those costs, not just wages, of hers go to sewer, 10% go to water. 2% goes to the manager, 17% in the treasurer, because she does a lot of payroll, she does accounts payable, or, she doesn't do payable, that's Vicki. Building department, she does a lot for the building department. So by virtue of allocating an individual's cost to various areas, that's how that money is drawn back into the general fund, because those are charged to that particular fund, versus a flat rate that was brought in from a fund saying you owe X. The furthest one down there is the transfer from motor equipment. Motor equipment charges out, as you know, to the roads and stuff, based on the scale, the rates, or all that. But then on the bottom of the motor equipment fund, there was $65,000 being kicked back to general fund in the last couple of years. So you're kind of pushing money over there, but then you're taking it out and putting it back over here to make you whole in the general fund. It's kind of solving one problem, causing another, in my opinion. So I think by taking the employees and building them out exactly where we believe that their working time and energy is spent, those costs will recoup some of those back in versus just taking a chunk out of sewer and water and the transfer of the motor equipment as well. So,
And why are we doing that, do you know?
That was something the previous manager was doing, was taking that out of
to balance your general
the balance of the
fund.
general fund. So instead of that $65,000 going into the motor equipment pool, it was going into general fund.
So you would kind of go there, and then it would circle around and then come back up. So. And then the admin fees are between the sewer and the water and other stuff that were just coming back to the general fund as admin fees. And again, I like the idea of billing out a person to where we believe their work is spent. And then that fund, whether it's the DPW or the streets or the rubbish, or gets charged whatever hours and overhead that person costs.
It's 6 to 1 that does the audit, whatever you're most comfortable with.
Yeah.
Get by the auditor, that.
Well, I think, because here's what you gotta be careful of. It's against the law to subsidize, to overcharge water customers to make up for it. in the
But they
general-
would take, they're the county, they didn't do it, and then, okay, on the the DPW is up 20%.
Yeah.
So it's not like these numbers were pulled out of thin air.
No.
If they came up with the numbers and went with them.
Right. So those numbers, even though they might not show up here as that 280,
Right.
there's a good chunk coming back in through 5 grand here, 6 grand there, whatever. That will, so that's some of the bigger changes. If you see the items here on the revenues, so page 2 and 3 that are green and on the left, those are because the police had some revenue streams as well. There was a grant. We're not sure what exactly that grant was. There's 302 funds that come in that's dedicated for those trainings. And I'm not sure what the LEEBG grant was either too, but, and then the liquor license fees, that's when they do their follow-up for all the bars and stuff.
Inspections.
Yep, inspections. The PVT fees, the parking impound and ticket fees that they handle locally here, not through the courts. Those are things, that's where the revenue part of the police department ended up in the year. That's why I did those, because the police did have some revenue, aside from the courts.
Are we not doing DVTs anymore?
We are, they've dropped drastically anymore. They're being handled in other places besides police departments anymore. So
I just
that's,
noticed that number was next to nothing.
yeah,
Yeah, and they're only like, what, $5 a piece now or something?
yeah.
We used to get quite a few.
Yeah, especially because you would read 5 and the guy down the road was 20, so like, we'll drive 10 miles and get them up here, because some people are doing them every other day for 2 months.
We used to get them so much that it got to the point where I had to start scheduling them because it kept taking us off the road every huge turnaround, you know.
Yep.
Huge inconvenience.
Yep. And they search out the cheap ones, because when they have to do it
Daily.
daily for 60 days, they're like, man, if I can save $5 a day,
Yeah.
you know.
And plus, not being able, I mean, they're not coming in here now too, because we're closing for 5 too, so it's not convenient for the court.
So that was the bill. I just wanted to show, that's what those highlighted ones over there, because the police did have a few revenue streams. Not huge, but I just wanted to show those did show up in the general revenue up top.
Okay, now when we closed dispatch, we were supposed to realize the savings of, what, Aaron? 300?
$234,000, I believe.
Something like that.
There were original cents involved.
So where did that savings?
I believe
Go.
some of these admin fees were larger than need be, or larger than should be, brought into the general fund to cover that transfer out to communications. So I don't know if you had enough, had you not doing this over there and bringing in a large amount of revenue through the admin fees, you would have had enough to do that. So you were subsidizing it. So now that that subsidy's kind of gone away, that expense has gone away, we're not subsidizing it, it's kind of back to where I believe where it should be. So in essence, you were paying it out, but you only had the money to do so because you were taking it, I think, from the other funds to add enough money into your general fund to pay for it.
Yeah, I don't think so. That's not gonna account for $300,000. I mean, where's the $300,000 that went to dispatch that we didn't say?
Well,
It's not all net administration.
some of it is. Some of it, well, because I don't know what, in the middle budget section here, like this year, in the budget, it showed 93 grand being transferred over, and, you know, we had some expenditures, some carryover expenses, like I said, for it's about 6 grand a year is all it is for the health.
Yeah, but I think this year was supposed to be the full savings of what we gained from closing dispatch. And it was not supposed to be rolled into the police department, it was supposed to be set aside, and council would decide where that would be spent. So,
Are the police and numbers in here?
Yeah, the police, year to date?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's a different fund, so it's farther down in there.
Okay, some of it, we'll take a look at roundabout ways. You potentially would have saved $200,000, but right off the top, in the first 3 lines is $46,000 we're at a detriment from previous years. So while it is not dispersed in the specific funds, ultimately that's a portion of it.
yeah, but we need to be able to explain to people where that
Absolutely.
went to, because that was a big selling point that we were gonna have money to do some things. And now we have none.
Well, I think the selling point was that we weren't gonna go belly up. And had we continued on with that cost, I would have to suspect the general fund would be probably $140,000, $160,000 less than it is. It would have been great, but eliminating dispatch was simply because we were treading water.
So in the police, you budgeted 760 this year, you've spent, you brought in 695, so, and you spent 599. So you're like 95 grand left over, a couple months left. So you're right about, I mean, even. You spent 48 this year, or this month. So, 2 months left. So, and I'm not sure what page the police is on here, is page 6 is where it starts, and so big it goes to page 7. So the police budgeted 904, came out the audit 2 years ago, and this year's budget for 7.7.
Backtracking a little bit, trying to see on the top of the dispatch wage clerical. 1718 was 16,641. What was the result of essentially doubling
Oh, okay, so you're on the front page. So you're on,
on 6? The 1819 is 31,621.
that is
Is that,
a part
we're
of,
talking about placing wages?
yes. So in the police, we have 7% of mine, 8% of the clerk treasurer, 3% Drew, 5% Kim, 6% Vicky, because they do all the bills and pay the bills and do the payroll and the journal entries and stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that includes dispatch and clerical, so that's Robin fully, and then pieces of others. And then the admin, some of that is in there, then admin would be like more me and the treasurer and the other, and then the clerical would be like Kim and, Vicky. Added to it. Yeah, I don't know how they, a couple years ago it was at 21, and I don't know who was even there and how that was, what those hours were at that 16, 17 audit for clerical.
Well, we were still on 24/7, weren't we?
16, 17. See, and that's kind of tough when you take that fund and move over to this.
November 2016 is when we dispatchers.
So
Right,
5
but
months.
we still had to pay
Unemployment costs and
Yeah.
Until June.
Yeah, I think that was.
Some of the MI wages till March or something.
and there was a payout.
June.
There were buyouts as well for the severance.
Yeah, because unemployment, I saw somewhere. If you look on page 6 in the police department there, the highlighted part on the right, so that's where the county contract, the MSP, the PPT stuff, last scan, the county's 33 grand of that 38, and then other smaller ones that are allocated to that contracted services. The MSP, is that the fingerprint machine? Yeah. Okay. We would pay a monthly fee for or something. And the PPT,
I just think some of these numbers, I don't know if they're right, can't compare them to anything. I cannot. It'd be nice if this slid in here and you could easily see what we've got going this year.
and part of the problem is because that's set up, they're in separate funds, and then now this is all in one fund, so I guess I could probably put another column in there and hand enter them in, and then still get that result in that.
Even if you use it, just this, so we have the numbers. Because we look kind of hopeful instead of the building permit stuff. Do we have numbers of what we anticipate building on Maxwell Base here or anywhere else?
Not individual locations. I went through and based on some of those from last year, like on the building permit revenues that I'm talking about on the front end.
Right.
Some of them were a little rosy, I thought, in the past too, and then like, well, it comes in fits and starts. We had a pretty good, this year, like with maybe permits for the e-bag. Not gonna happen next year.
Well, the good thing is, if we don't get the building permit, we don't have the expense, but it's nice to know.
Right.
some of this, whereas you said it looked pretty rosy, some of it almost looks unoptimistic when you take a look at, for example, leave time buyout, holiday time buyout, uniforms for the reserves. Some of those are office supplies, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, maybe that's more realistic. I don't know what transpired in the past. I don't know if there's been a request from general fund to fill those needs that hadn't been met. But one of my concerns is the concept of spend it so you get it next year. I know that's how a lot of old school governments work, and I don't really subscribe in just spending to spend so we continue to get it. So I would hate to inflate when we don't have a track record to support what's requested or what is projected.
And that's why the 16-17 audit numbers are good. We don't have the 17-18 obviously done to put in there, because we haven't finished the year up, but the last audited figures are there. And so some of those you can use as a little bit of a barometer. And the operating supply, 740. 3,000 was the audit 2 years ago, we got 1,000 in this year. We had workers' comp, 5,000. I've kind of spread that around what I believe is better, where the workers' comp exposure is.
But just take a look at this, and I just stayed on the same page that we were on. I didn't pick anyone on in particular. The ones that I had mentioned, but then we go down to postage supplies. There's a 5-time increase in that. Diesel fuel and gas, 10,000, it doubles.
What page are you on?
Well, that's for this year's, I can't speak to these
Car
17-18
washes
numbers.
almost doubles. I just want,
And that's, I
If it's
don't know who put these numbers together. That's why I try to look more on what actually happened on the left column, the audited column. Some of these numbers, I don't know what was making those numbers up on that middle column.
custodial services 40% higher, legal prosecution double. We didn't even have a ticket for code enforcement.
And the problem is last year, do you remember how we did the budget? We threw numbers in and passed it because we didn't have any administration. So you really can't use that 17-18 budget.
Well, we used Joe had done one. and then
That we never discussed, we just
Right,
approved it.
we just
So
approved it.
if you throw numbers in to make it balance.
Yeah, some of these numbers, I don't know how. I mean, look at the part-time, the fourth line down there, the 706 line. We had 101,000 the year before, and they had 59 in for this current year. I'm like, how do you do that? I mean, I talked to chief and look at who's on the payroll and what hours they're working currently, and we plug those numbers in, and it's within $1,000 practically of that number from 2 years ago.
But you see what I'm saying? I mean, just going down to DTE, we've cut our operation, eliminated 24 hours, and we've gone from $3,000 to $6,500. I mean, by the time I'm done looking at what's been doubled here, we're almost at $40,000 right off the bat.
But look at the 16-17, it was 53. And then budgeted at 22.3. And then, see what I mean?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I'm just wondering.
Right. We'd have to look at last year's budget, and what Joe included in that.
Sewer. I mean, almost everything that I go down.
Those items there are something that I took across the board and looked at like the utilities for this building, the sewer and stuff for this building, and look at our total costs and allocate it out. So much for the police department, so much for us. It's not always a 50-50, sometimes it's more on them. I even put like 5% on the DDA for the electrical bill when they had 0 before.
Yeah, because some of that 650, whereas 235 2 years ago, the police department paid 40 or 50% of it. So their budget's probably in
Right,
ours.
so on some of them I did 50-50 now for, on the admin and police. And some of those, like I said, I even put 5% up the electrical bill on the DDA, because they're over here. They're looking, there's only like 420 added to them.
I just want to make sure there's a foundation to support that budgeted number as opposed to, like I said, let's ask for the world and...
I feel a lot more confident comparing it to the audited numbers for 16 and 17 than this budget number, because some of these numbers, I don't know what they mean, or how they were derived. It might have been a work in progress that, because of lack of personnel, you had to have something.
Right.
It was an ugly year. I guess we'd say that nicely. That's why I like to see the current thrown in there, so we have some realistic numbers.
The year to date, yeah.
Like, what's included in that part-time now? Is that the beach part-timers too?
No, this is just police officers.
On page 6 is just police department.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the police department part-time, we were just talking about.
Well, in all of them, because now we're throwing everything together. But the beach employees will still be in beach.
Still, it's separated out.
That's all in DPW still, and the parks and DPW park. This, police is on page 6 and 7 is strictly police operations, at the very top there. How, because, look at, there was one of my shorts too, this morning, under wages, very top line of police department. 221,000 full-time wages in 16-17 audit, 130 next year. She's budgeted half of 130, his. So what's that 130 mean? How'd that get there? I have no idea. So that's why I don't give, I'm not sure what these numbers are. There's no way that the wages for full-time personnel here were 130,000. When one person's half of it.
But at that point, how many full-timers did we have? We had you,
At least 2.
the chief, and Ashcroft.
Well, since it had been raises to,
Right, but
raises salaries.
Yeah, I think
That's what I'm trying to figure out, because it wasn't.
That's just wages. And
You didn't have Sean Brown.
Correct.
I just wonder,
But that said,
Down below.
Sean Brown was
Was he
part-time,
budgeted?
making,
Right.
Yeah, but
working
it was
over 40
4
hours.
Right.
you had,
But it's a different line.
you had 3,
All these
Yeah.
numbers.
you had 3 full-time dispatchers too, so I don't know if that counts, or if that's,
Yeah, that probably fits in there.
Yeah, but they had their own budget. Yeah.
Yeah, communications was in there.
And sit-
see, I was always confused with how that worked as far as how that.
No, this is just police officers.
And you never have to know that.
So like I said, I can't, as much as I try to look back at some old spreadsheets and stuff in the current budget year, some of them I just can't decipher as to what was really coming out of that.
I mean, we really spent no time on the budget. We were just getting started, and then,
Last year?
Yeah.
Oh, last year was existing. It was,
so these numbers,
So I'm looking more at the 16-17 audit and saying, okay, how does it compare to what really happened?
and then, for 9 months, 10 months in, we should be able to take those numbers and know if we're close.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah. Where are those?
Do I have, did you bring me a new sheet?
No, I only made it one for the, well, I didn't make enough for everybody, Mike's got another one too. Oh, there you go.
That's Joe Frost.
Underneath the 301 account, you have a contingency. If the police department's rolled into
The 301
general
account.
fund, why are they showing a contingency?
That's what I was just about to talk to you, because the only thing in the police department that would be optional at this point, there is a $10,000 contingency, I just left it in there because it had, and don't really know if you need it. And then on the very end of it, on this 977 line, there's 32,000 in for a vehicle. So, those are the 2 things in that, I know, because Chief had mentioned before, you had a schedule, you were following the schedule, we got off the schedule, we got a new one now. Do you want it in this year or not? Do they want to wait a year? That's plugged in there, and then the 10,000 contingencies in there. Contingencies, for the most part, should be small items that kind of go over here and there, shouldn't be anything big, you can see.
it's been my preference to eliminate the contingency
Yeah.
everywhere. And my preference would be to wait a year on a vehicle.
Can we put half in and then purchase it the next year with the other half?
If you're not gonna spend it, yeah, I just
It's
leave it
gonna
out.
be the general fund anyways.
Yeah,
I know, but
it's gonna stay in the general fund, not move at all until you spend it. So plug it in half, then when you do your audit, it's not gonna show up that you spend it, so it's gonna wash out either way. That's why I tell people, say, budgets are guess, as you look at the year, look back at somebody's audit, you'll know exactly what happened. Sometimes you plan on spending money you don't. Sometimes something happened where you had to come in.
And I think,
I was looking at the very top line, the state personal property tax. We took in to the penny what was budgeted, the 72,000, and we've only budgeted 35. What do we
The state is limiting that, yeah, the state's got a very convoluted formula.
We usually have those numbers we're about now.
we didn't have them last year, or the year before, big budget time.
We should get them right.
I don't remember last year.
I just noticed it's to the back.
That's one of those things that they're trying to phase out, and I think, I don't know if I put that one in there or not on that one, because we were a little surprised that it came in at that high.
And have we gotten the final numbers from the county on our property taxes?
Yeah.
Okay, so the 1,076 is pretty accurate. Or the 1,076,
1.4? So, what are you looking at there?
real property tax.
Oh, I thought you were,
She's looking at this sheet.
you're looking at the budget sheet,
I'm looking at
okay.
this
Page
sheet,
one, right?
this 1,076 for real property tax. In our budget, is that accurate?
This year.
Page one. I'm sorry, I gave the real one away.
So you got the old one then?
No, you
So
gave Rose Joe
1,076.
Okay, I got you.
Is that accurate? Those are the numbers from the county?
I used their number multiplied by the millage,
Okay.
and then we have, some of it goes out to the DDA. So
Right.
total is 1.295, based on a brand new taxable value.
So that's an act, that one's good. And the personal's good, the 44. That's from
We
the county.
believe, yeah,
And we're
depends.
not taking.
Now, we had a few things come in just this week from the county that they're gonna dissolve some 2012 older personal property tax that they haven't collected. Of course, you know, they paid us for those, and that will be pulled back. It wasn't much, it was like $3,000. So again, yes, you collect them on the front end, they pay you, and then when they find out they don't get them, they draw them back. So somewhat of a fluid number at times. They went to the courts, and we just got it this week. And like sales tax, you take that off the state's website.
So what did you do with the $10,000 contingency in place?
I didn't do anything with it. The suggestion is that we go away with it.
I was gonna, shouldn't that be in general fund or reduce the amount?
Oh, yeah.
Increase?
I'll get through the finger. So I went back up here. Drew went to sleep. Can you wake it back up? And edit this way from this.
My preference on eliminating it is just based on the simple fact of accountability to the budget. If we're gonna spend an additional 10,000 unbudgeted funds, I kind of think that's council's statutory prerogative to decide whether there's a reason to and I think it should come back. Because otherwise, that 10,000, I take it past and spend.
Yeah, and that's fine to, like I said, if something comes up, you bring it back and say, hey, we got a problem here, or whatever. An AC unit blew up or something.
So we're gonna move the 10 out of the place.
14 cents is going, that's where it's leaning towards.
I don't have a problem, so let's do it. Sure. Everybody else says.
I think that 10,000 is ours.
Well, I guess the point being, as we go through here, you know, we're constantly talking about what can we provide to the community. If we're gonna put 10,000 set aside, I'd rather put it towards something in DPW or the police department that looks like a service 10, put 5,000 towards tree replacement, put, you know, whatever repairs need to be done that actually showcases.
And if it helps too, because I know we talked about the vehicle, because we were already behind, the next vehicle that we'd be replacing already has 81,000 miles on it, so we took that off a little bit longer. So might be something to think about, if you guys can.
So you're just taking those two things out, brings it down to a deficit of 102. Very bad, but That's $42,000 right there.
And, it's kind of difficult to go through this, and I'm sure it's probably no easier for you. I know most of your time is probably spent putting this together and reconfiguring it. But like I just said, $42,000 as we go through each different department. You look at the variance of numbers, is there any way of narrowing that down, or did you have much time to do that proceeding?
Well, and some of them you kind of say, okay, well, for some reason, they spent, $3,000 2 years ago. Are we gonna be able to spend that this year, or what's it gonna have to be like in office supplies? I don't know, did they buy printers that year? I don't know. We have a major printer, we starts in July 1, but that's all figured into the new lease on that, which will save us some money. Drew, one of the things they did back in the fall was got the cleaning contract down, almost got half, if I remember right. Now,
Take a look at this one.
based on the budgeted amount, it wasn't different, but that was on the police, I think, you were noting that.
Where are delinquent tasks?
Delinquent block list.
When you want to build a letter.
There's delinquent property. Delinquent.
Good, so shut up.
Delinquent property taxes, penalties, real property penalty, personal property penalty, and personal property zero, but real is $3,700. And we're not budgeting, we got 3,000 in it, we're not showing anything budgeted there this year. I'm not sure where the money is.
Well, if it comes in, it's gonna be brought in.
That
Yeah,
goes-
that's taxes. There was a few brought in, I know. You mean after the summer cutoff, which is what, September? End
Yeah.
of September? There was a few, I think.
September 1st.
Okay, I'm using September. Alright, so, I know there was a few payments that came in since that time. I have to see where they're at in the tax system. But I don't wanna put a lot in the revenue because it doesn't happen, I'd rather be extra.
I mean, building permits,
It's a little rosy, but it's been on an upswing. We got people buying, building houses and stuff. And now we have all those ones coming from Scripter Park that are just gonna start, so, yeah.
building licenses, we budgeted 500 and the year to date we're at 4,900. It is, what?
Again, I don't wanna be too rosy, because sometimes too rosy in your revenue bites you.
But then you get down to building permits and you're at 35,000.
Well, because I know certain things that are happening. We have more permits coming. Those Scripter, for 16 homes out there that are gonna be permits. Plumbing, electrical, mechanical, the buildings themselves.
But then your plumbing, heating, and mechanical are probably low.
On the revenue end of it?
Yeah. They're just not, they don't seem to match it. This is, when do we get our best constitutional sales?
They come every other month. I can't remember which months they are. I think it was last month.
So we should have done that, because that would be. Yeah, really budgeted one for this.
The middle here.
If we're already 236,000 year to date, we only budgeted 141 for this.
Yeah, and I don't know why. And you go to the state website, they tell you.
I don't know if they had told us by the time it was too late.
Okay. You usually have ample time to go and look at the website. Now, I know years ago, I used to do
Just
about
last
90.
year.
I'd do like
Just last
95%. I'm like, yeah, that might be a lot of rosy on there, and if it's based on sales tax, maybe the economy not as good as it predicted, so I wouldn't always go in. But they've been, in my experience the last 5-6 years, they've been pretty accurate. So, but that's what that number, that 288, maybe to the penny, it's 288, just like.
Are our trash contracts up this year?
No, I think they were a 5-year with a 5-year roll, and I think it's like 2 more years now.
And these match the contracts?
Where you at? On the revenue?
Rubbish fees, residential?
That matches exactly what we're spending out, but if you remember in my bullet item, I wanted to kind of put a small admin fee on them. what I gave last week, like 10 cents
Is it
per
in
mile.
here already? No.
No. Yeah, commercial road rage is our cost. Basically, when I plug someone's in, it's a little bit, 2% here, 2% there, 1% there for someone that's doing, paying the bills, calling guys, DPW guys going out there, it's about $4,000 per year for us to administer those contracts. And I would suggest that we do a 10-cent per month admin fee on residential, the other $27.65 on the commercial, broken up on per. Because those are really convoluted. You have 3 dumpsters here, that's 5 people paying 2, and this one pays 1/3, this one pays 2 units, that one pays 3 units, because they're a restaurant, they're a book stop. Those are really kind of convoluted to say it's so much, we can go back and look at it and say it's all right. You're paying 1 unit red, $5, you're paying 2 unit red, and whatever, but the bulk of it, and the bulk of the hassle, and the bulk of the complaints are from the parking lots and everything. Now, we do get, every week or two, we'll get a residential complaint, they're usually pretty, real simple and easy. Doesn't take any DPW guys to go out and deal with them. It's a phone call or a text to the route manager. And sometimes it's just somebody anxious, thinking that they got missed and they didn't.
So can we get a consensus on adding that?
10 cent per month admin fee on residential and
Agreed.
I think that's probably a resolution of the council, because that's the utility bills. I don't think we can just sit here in the budget and decide that the numbers are high.
I'm just saying, those
No,
are my
but I mean, do we
suggestions.
have a consensus that maybe we could do that?
10%?
I just do not route.
Yes.
Sure.
It's basically, you're just making a suggestion, you're saying, okay, you like the suggestion, and I'll put that in until we do the budget hearing, it'll be over.
Jumping around, so page 7, going down to the code enforcement mileage vehicle. We take into consideration transition from the old police vehicle being used for code enforcement.
Yes.
Should we increase that? Or now, I guess my thought would be now that we have that purchase and training more code, there should be no longer a mileage submit.
We aren't there yet.
Circumstances.
Dan drove it one time last week and never even done it. So we were in the process, this week I don't run it up to the Pet Boys or the old Fix and Go, which is now Pet Boys.
And that one just right.
Yeah, he did. One day, Dan drove it one day. And he was out of town, he was sitting there, as he sitting there, it got hot. So it cooled off, and someone says, let's just go out first, we'll check the fluid there, the antifreeze. I said, well, maybe we're gonna have it checked out.
We're celebrating.
Yeah.
They're safe. I'm pretty sure they're safe.
Yeah. Now, that basically took in the insurance and gas is all that was.
Okay. Should we increase it though?
It would be a bad idea to have some, like repair, correct?
It's gonna be reduced, I suspect.
Yeah, if you could add $500 into that for easy for repairs. So, yeah, it could be a radiator, it could be the fan.
I hate to talk peanuts about that, but
Yeah.
do you think 500 is enough? I don't know what your normal vehicle repairs have been. $500 doesn't do much in a car anymore.
I guess it all depends on what the problem is. I mean, it couldn't. I don't know if it's gonna be any more than that, but then again, if I say that.
That'd be this item, and then we got another 12 months of the next item. So maybe $1,000 added to that for the repairs. Again, it's one of those that, we don't have a lot of cushion there.
Right.
So if you go over that one, then you gotta amend.
Almost.
Should we put all the police legal fees that you say now have, the village's legal fees?
No, there is a police, well, Eric mentioned earlier, didn't he say about, in the police fund, there's a cost, I think, what do we call it, prosecutions? And then there's the same, towards the end, I think, page 9 was,
Did you find on 6, Rose?
They're finding on 6, maybe
It's
2,000.
.080. 2/3 of the way down, legal prosecutions, 32,000 allotted. On page 6.
There's some on the general fund too, I thought. Attorney, yeah. So on page 4, there's the attorney in for the general stuff.
And you said page 4?
Yes. Attorney retainers, legal fees, and litigation. And I'm just kind of guessing at those based on what's going on. I'd like to see those whittled down, of course. Especially, you know, the retainer, obviously won't, but the legal fees, 40 grand, that's pretty, a lot. When most of our costs should be in the police department for prosecuting the courts.
I would like to think you could whittle it down considering how much time Bob spent last year.
Yeah. So I kind of just followed that pattern right now, because I'm like, I know we have one settlement still from the former DPW that's kind of hanging out there. I have nothing in for that.
76 North Washington then?
If they do what they're supposed to do, and by July have it all done, we will, they have to. Right. Well, we have the authority though, in that court order, though, to hire our own person and go forth and demolish that lead. From what I recollect, that court order, about a month ago, a month and a half ago, whatever it was.
And
But don't we have another kind of lawsuit out there too? Lone Ranger.
Yes, and by the way, I haven't talked about that one at all. So I don't know the steps of that one.
I'm compare
So
this
that's why, because I know there's.
Yeah, between the two.
with these two.
I say, I know those are out there.
Do we have an additional DPW or police department guy in here in this budget yet?
Additional
That's
guy
being
for employees,
Yeah.
no, only what's here now. I mean, the staffing for the summer is in, that done.
No, because I know that the police department was down one guy and
Yeah.
and DPW was down one. I just didn't know if you
No.
anticipated putting any additional.
I know it'd be nice, but at this point, like I told Susan, this is a no frills kind of thing, except for the police car. That was the only thing. Don didn't have anything coming to DPW as far as vehicles and big equipment stuff. I didn't have anything in there for additional police officers. Would it be nice?
So there's no additional employees
No.
built into this
There's one
budget?
new part-time guy that came on recently, but he's plugged in, that's strict.
Yeah, we're allowed 6, we're at 5 right now, so we're actually 1 shy right now, but I think we're good for right now. So.
Yeah. Now, if you recall back in the budget, the bulletin I gave you a couple weeks ago, or last week, I guess it was, I did put a 50% bump for the part-time police officers, and based on the hours in the budget for them, it's 2,000.
50% or 50 cents?
50 cents. 17 to 17.50.
I got really excited.
And $2,800, $2,750 increase based on their hours. I just thought, we need to kind of keep pace with these guys don't get available.
Totally agree.
They get sucked away for $1.
So is that a consensus to do that?
Absolutely.
Then that's already figured in.
Are we happy with 50 cents?
I was asking for $1. I think when we sat down, everything was kind of halfway.
Yeah, I didn't want to overshoot, and I didn't know the feel for where we're at, and so you could take that 2,800 and double it for the cost.
My feeling is when we take a look at this and there's additional built-in in other areas that are not of such consequence, I'd rather take it out of somewhere else and put it in wages for,
Yeah.
that would be my preference. I mean, you gotta consider what the job is, and on top of that, availability.
Yes.
Departments are having a ridiculous time finding quality employees.
There's over 100.
Especially for $18 an hour.
And some of these guys are working full-time somewhere else.
Recoup that 50, under 50?
No. I mean, there's an extra $2,800, well, we took $42,000 out of the police department already. That was when we sat down.
Well, I don't know if it's,
Well, then I had budgeted it in. Then I'm just saying, so, okay, all right, take the 10,000 out there, but add 5,600 in here. Now, or do you want to take it, find it somewhere in a different department? I guess we'd have to go away and look and see.
I guess I'd like to see a list of every place where we're gonna take from, and then potentially envision where we would like to put some back.
Well, we don't know until we go through it.
Sure, no, I totally agree.
Well, I have
But some of this, we,
Two outs
that's what
already.
we have no way of getting any perspective on what's realistic as far as expenditure. And it sounds like, without looking 2 and 3 years back,
Right.
there's no footprint for that. And I don't trust what happened 2 or 3 years back from previous.
And that's what I said, when I look at the 17-18 budget numbers that are coming out of the BSNA, like, I just don't know what those numbers, what made up those numbers, you know? Some of them make sense, they kind of follow a pattern across, and then others were, I don't know.
Talking about part-timers, instead of 50 cents. Talking about to a buck.
Do we know what other departments are paying?
Lake Orion pays $18 an hour, so it's, Metamora pays the same, so I kind of did some comparisons with the agencies close to us and the same, so that's about the average.
What did you say it was at 50?
2876, 2878.
I'd say.
I can't imagine that it's gonna make that much of a difference.
Talking about like 2800 bucks.
Yeah.
That's what we
And like I said, when you have them, when you need, when some guy needs a spot, you know, you get a full-timer, you need those guys to plug in for you.
I've actually had some that have made comments, so I'm gonna go over the other agency to get a little bit more, but we're cooler.
Cool doesn't count so far, though.
No, but.
Cool doesn't pay the electric bill.
Right, yeah.
And especially if they're working full-time somewhere else, and they're coming here working for a lower wage, straight time.
Yeah, and we do rely heavily on our part-time guys, so,
That would be pretty good.
We have consensus?
What is the budget? Let's see what happens.
You're gonna have to cut his finger off from this whole case, too.
You know, we could just take that dollar from Drew. It's all in the general fund now.
Have to change that title to administrative assistant.
This title changes every week, doesn't matter.
I wanted it.
You said that part-time position, you're down one part-time position?
yeah, we're allowed 6, I just hired a 5th guy part-time, so, I don't anticipate bringing on another 6, I don't have really anybody on the back burner right now, but, this last guy that we just hired, is gonna, pay big dividends for us for the summer, for the things we want to accomplish this year, so that was the biggest, challenge I had from last year till now, was having to revamp my staff, and, I had to kind of, make some changes because of availability, and I had to rebuild that, and so that's why I said we're going to get regular active here this spring and summer. Now that we're on our last guy that we're training right now to put in that position for the summer. So, but again, like he said, the competitive field for police right now is amazing. I mean, there's agencies hiring all over the place, and you're competing with that, and. I actually had somebody say, are you having a hard time finding guys? Yeah, I said, I have no applications in right now from anybody that's interested, so you actually have to kind of go out and seek and go to the academies or post it or whatnot. But before, I used to have to drop off applications, resumes all the time. You have stacks and you go through and you just would,
It's the same thing.
pick and choose, so, yeah. And I'm hearing that.
There's like 100 agencies in the MCO's website looking for officers.
Yeah.
Counties.
Yeah.
As a hypothetical, what would it do by eliminating the 6 part-time and increasing 1 full-time?
You need 5 full-time to cover a 24/7 shift.
Right.
If no one goes on vacation.
No, I'm just,
Well, then you'd have overtime, yeah, but, and then you could backfill if you want.
Yeah.
but since, instead of leaving 1 part-time open, which is budgeted for, what would be the financial ramifications for eliminating the one that's not filled and converting that to 1 full-time?
Oh, so not
What's the
only,
difference?
6, I thought you were saying. Okay.
No.
Yeah, that's, and then,
Adding another full-time guy right now, what we have is we have rotate 12-hour shifts. So we have day shifts covered, and we have 1 shift, the midnight's covered, and we're rotating part-time guys out of that other midnight position on the 12-hour shift. So if we had that fourth full-time position, that would give us a full-time person that would cover 24/7, and then we would utilize part-time for, actually what part-time should be used for is vacations, fill-in, sick,
Right.
Extra body on special events or things like that, so that would be ideal, and that's something I'd like to try to push for eventually in the future when we can do it.
What do we budget for 1 part-time position?
that's their hourly rate, and the hours used, and then their, like, so at $17.50 is what I had in there. At full-time hours, which Rex is almost working right now, that's her cost, so again, I don't know why it's not showing up there, that's Nolan, it's 300 hours.
Well, they're at 17 right now.
Yeah, and that's,
Oh, yeah,
I had 17,
okay.
50% plugged in.
That's it, okay.
So I was gonna maybe go and try to plug it to an 18 to see what it did, but, and then here's where Brown is, Churchill, and Ashcroft, and Chief. And I have it in because the anticipation of wrapping up this thing by end of the year. Definitely. I believe that goes in there. So that's their hours that they're plugged into, and based on what Chief and I looked at. They don't have any benefits. You have benefits, hours, cost per hour for benefits over here. That add to it, we can switch over to the full-time with benefits.
I guess I would be curious what the total annual expense for one part-time officer is, and the total annual expense for one additional full-time. And I would inquire if there would be any way of determining what adding one full-time would, if it would result in a reduction of overtime, that would go towards the cost of the part-time as well. To find out what the actual realized cost of staffing part-time as opposed to full-time would be. Because there's gonna be an overtime cost associated with the part-timers.
The part-timer covering that full-time shift that we have billed is 36,400. That's 2,080 hours at 1750. That's the 1750. So 30, what's the full-time cost?
Well, what's the benefits package cost?
Yeah, you're right.
All that in, the benefit package
Let's
is.
assume that they're single, because you never know what you're gonna get.
Well, Brown doesn't take wages, so he's payment in lieu of. That's their wage and benefit with hourly, that's Chief Ashcroft, Churchill, that's what their benefits per hour. That's FICA, that's when you add FICA in, they're 52 an hour, 49 an hour, 38 an hour. And these guys don't have all the benefits, so they're just have FICA added on, so they're at 1938 an hour. So that's the difference between a part-timer.
I'm looking, I mean, hourly reserve.
So what's Brown
Total
cost?
annual cost.
What's Brown cost an hour?
I don't care about what's.
He's full-time.
He's would be the least.
He is.
Right, so an hour is
He's right there.
2080 times. Give me the
No, I hear you.
Well, his,
I mean, wages,
So what's his
1911.
total? Yeah,
For
but
that,
if you add everything in, what's his wages?
he is 3101 an hour, but he's paying in lieu of for medical, 4,800. Where that could be 10 grand for a two-person or 15 grand for a family.
How does that work with the budget when they decide, I want the insurance now?
Well, then that's gonna be changed.
I mean, I know, but it could be like a little.
Well,
But only at open enrollment, right? Unless there's a life circumstance.
yeah, right. If, let's say he gets it through his wife or somebody and she loses hers.
But I don't think you can just walk in September and say, you know, I changed my mind.
Yeah, some of it's spelled out, some contracts, you have to have a reason and justification.
Sure.
Okay.
It's usually life circumstance.
Yeah.
That's, it's double, 64.4 at least for a full-time.
64 for, we're paying what?
36.
36?
It's about 28,000.
So I guess what I would like to see, I guess, is a side by each. What do we anticipate this part-time position is costing us in overtime to secure schedule fulfillment? Does that increase that 36 number? I would assume it might.
That's the 2080, an 8-hour shift a year, full-time.
And not necessarily right now.
Yeah, I know, I understand.
Want to push under the gun and say, let's figure this out right now.
Yeah. Smoke break.
Between the two, I'd like to see an itemized pro versus con of one versus the other. I mean, if we're talking $8,000, $10,000,
Well, kind of like what she had, you're looking at about 20,
About
28.
20,000.
Yeah.
30.
I don't have the figures either right now, but I know the consistency of having somebody in that position instead of constantly having to rotate somebody in and out of there when they find another job full-time somewhere. So that definitely would help that too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because you get some communities that, they kind of suck, people go, they get trained and leave.
Absolutely.
Constant rotating door,
And one of my goals is I want this to be a place where people want to come and this is where I want to live my roots and make a career out of it. And for years, it's been a stepping stone for a lot of agencies, starting for this agency, and some of us are just fortunate to be in the right place at the right time to be in the positions we're in right now.
I don't think you can create that without wages and without stability.
And you have a pension. It's the DC pension now, but it's something,
Right.
where some are going.
Well, everyone, yeah.
I was gonna say,
They're chopping them all over the state.
It's
As far as,
the trend.
yeah, even the county, this county, they have like 401k with like almost no match, I think.
Yeah, they did that with 15 years ago.
Yeah. So,
I'd definitely like to see information on that, see where we're at. Does anyone else?
Oh, definitely. I
Definitely.
mean, I'd love to see the
I think we all want the same thing that he wants, it's the money.
And my
If it's
question,
a good thing for money, then I have no problem, because I understand all the consistency and
of course,
live, work, play.
you got a couple part-timers, you're paying a part-time wage, running 40 hours a week, give them nothing. Correct, for one, I mean, you know,
right.
you're kind of getting away with it in the point at this point. Good one.
I don't know, yeah, exactly. I don't know my question is, should we pull it out of the general fund? My question is, taking a look at all these numbers that seem to give me uncertainty, would it be better to wrap certain things up and apply it in a different direction that's more productive for the community? And like I said, who knows whether last year or the previous year really keeps on track, but
Yeah,
I'm just
at least the previous year, the audit numbers are the audit numbers, that's what
Right.
happened. And whether there was something odd that year or not, or, you know, a spike in this, or now that person retired who's a high wage earner, I can't answer.
I'm assuming I know the answer to this question, but I'm gonna ask it anyway.
Assuming I don't, that'd be safer.
We're not giving you streets and stuff, right?
Oh, no, I'm not.
if we hadn't lost all the ticket revenue, we'd fund it almost exclusively.
Could you get on that, Tom?
We're getting.
I mean, I'm not trying to say anything, because that would
We're
be.
not saying.
That would be.
There's gonna be no streets and no
There
parking.
could always be more.
I just,
Probably.
I mean, you could pose it as a
and our bonds are coming out.
scenario.
I'd like to see if we have anything left, we've got to do something about Park Street before it completely washes away.
We gotta do something about it.
We gotta do something
But
about
here's
it.
the thing, and then too, my experience is, you can't, you need to go out and, engineer that, Donna told me about some of the catch basins that need to be fixed. You need to engineer, get it ready, and bid it in the fall for next summer, otherwise you can't go out there right now and say, hey, we want this paved, you're gonna get killed.
Redo the parking lot.
Yeah, but it
Wait, get rid of check.
needs
No, I
to
just-
be in the budget.
Yeah, so I did go, actually,
And give people some hope,
well, here's the thing,
because otherwise they have none for 3 or 4 years.
and that's, verdicts, let's see, yeah, verdicts.
Oh, yeah, you got that money.
The county local road improvement pilot program they had, I thought it was ending this year, but it's going one more year, so I snuck into the wire, got us a little stay, so extended to next year, so next year we'll get like a 3-year contribution from them if we do the project on Burdick Street.
Nice.
To refill it, from basically 24 that way. I found an old, capital improvement plan you guys had, I think it was $100,000 was estimated to go from Burdick, from 24 down to the line, the village line.
You don't go to the line anymore.
The village, well, okay, all right, top of the hill, that's right.
Big city.
Bottom of the hill.
Bottom of the hill, that's right, yeah, bottom of the hill. So,
Well,
what,
we did, what, 1,000 feet for
Yeah.
practically $1 million.
yeah, so, I put a little bit of money in here to get Noah and Frost to do the engineering on that, so we can maybe bid it out this October, November, December, for the following year. It doesn't have to be done in June, so it doesn't have to be in this budget. You could say next year we want it done in July, August, September, the third quarter. So that way, you don't even have to have it in the budget. We'll know if they bid it out, what those numbers come in at, in say February. Then you'll be able to say, all right, they're coming in around 80 grand, we're gonna have 30 grand from the county and, 70 grand from us, and we'll knock that out this third quarter of this year, which will be the first quarter of next budget. But, so I did go back and put like $8,000 into that local roads today for the engineering, still know I can probably at least put together the bid docs, get an estimate, put together something to bid out to the road guys. But nothing will be done this year.
But that leaves a whole lot of other roads that
Right,
We're not
well-
gonna be doing anything for it, and no parking.
And.
So we're gonna have to live with this for.
You could circle back around and then next year put something in, get a better understanding what this parking lot is gonna entail. In the plan I found was 150 was on there, but it's probably closer to 2 now, because that's been a couple years ago. And I don't know what all was entailed with the drain structures. Again, you could get it figured out and maybe bid out this end of fall, winter, so you know what next summer's gonna cost you. And then if you say it started July 1 moving forward for next summer, then you can put it in next year's budget, but you can still get it done by next summer. It doesn't have to be in this budget.
I would want to have some idea what we're going to do with this building prior to putting a parking lot in.
I would like to see us, the village, move over here and stay in this office, because it would be the DDA, the village, and then the chamber would stay. The chamber's contemplated leaving because it's kind of a ghost town, they come in here, it's not the best foot forward for them.
Sure.
But I mentioned to them, I said, what if we come over here, they really like that idea, it'd be more of a, people can come in the front, go out the front, or come in the back, go out the front, they can come through without coming through here and finding their way over to the front, and coming up, coming in that door, then we have to tell them, can't go back that way, go down this way. I don't think it would be much to come over here. Don gave me a price just a day or two ago, upgrade some of these lights to LEDs, it was around $5 grand, put some switches in. Did that include the exit lights or not?
Yes.
Okay, he said, mentioned about the exit lights too, so that was like $5,100. That would put the electrical lights and everything squared away.
I'm more curious what we would do with the other, I mean, more of a comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
I think that's all great, I think it should be done. But I guess I'd be more curious what the plan.
The big plan, the big
The
building.
dormant portion is.
Yeah.
And it would be nice to see some sort of municipal service of some sort, in my opinion, as opposed to an insurance agent. I mean, anything would work, but if you could attract youth assistants and offer to lease dump space, so everything is kind of in a one-stop location that's more cohesive with what it is,
Yeah.
as opposed to
Right.
personal insurance/police department, that's.
And I don't know, I've not seen, I think I was told the numbers with when the OCTV looked at that over there, but they were gotten it right off the walls, and it was around 250 grand or 300 grand or something. I heard that, I haven't seen anything.
I don't think that we ever had a firm number that I'm aware of. I know that the guy that came in and did the inspection, under much pressure from me, told me it's probably gonna be $100,000 to do that, bring that up to code over there, because we've let it go for,
My preference would be to get the whole thing. I mean,
I'm not even walked over there, I peeked in it once back in December, and that's about it.
oh, it's a thrill. Make sure you go in the basement.
Oh.
It's the nicest part.
Yeah.
not so
It
much
would be
what's
very nice
based on what's
over
there, but there seems to be a general consensus that this should be maintained the face of the village. And if that's gonna be the case, throwing up some siding here and a roof here and a compressor on the roof there every 5 years doesn't really do it. If we're gonna invest in it, we should invest in it. But if that's the route, I'd like to know that before we approve a parking lot. And I would also like to know what revenue streams there are, grants, would it behoove us to pay a grant writer to try and come up with funds such, I mean, I'd really like to dig into free money.
And then Glenn had indicated about potentially using that over there for a little side thing with a business incubator that would maybe tie into DDA and stuff, and it may generate some revenue, and you might even have possible some grant to help pay for some of the refurbishing.
That would be great. I would just wonder if this would be the proper time going into the resurfacing of the pier, knowing that there's going to be attrition through that process too. That's a certainty.
Attrition that from downtown, I mean.
Right. Would it be the proper time to try and incubate businesses when it's a certainty we're going to lose additional businesses?
Yeah, maybe, it depends what type of those businesses that kind of are drawn to
Usually
incubators. Are they
incubators
retail
are-
or not, I don't know.
Usually, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but usually incubators are one-person office that comes in and needs a desk and a phone, and they do their business. Am I right? Wrong?
1 to 2, 3, primarily, 1 to 2 person
But it's not
operations.
a retail operation,
No, it's-
usually it's office. computer work, stuff like that.
Technical services, creative services, that type of thing is what we'll be targeting.
Right. And you could get a lot over there.
About Bob Davis, isn't he in the office? That was all right.
We at one time tried to get a court out here, I don't know whatever happened.
They were not interested.
Well, look at what we had to offer too.
At the time, the building was looking halfway decent.
This building.
This building probably hasn't looked decent in 30 years.
Oh, that's
This
built,
building.
that addition's new. It was built in 1990.
Yeah, but anybody coming
Looks
in
great.
and you see the front of it, it looks tired, old,
It didn't.
uncared.
The front's not the issue, either way, we're getting
Well,
off topic.
the whole
So,
building.
again, back to the whole parking lot thing, wouldn't be something in this budget at all anyways. It's something that, okay, if you want to bid it out, and have it done at the end of next year, you could in next year's budget. And still get it done next year. It doesn't have to be in this budget, which ends in June of next year. You know.
What makes you think we're gonna have more money next year?
Well, like I said, you have 2 years, well, you make it, okay, what are you doing with the $800,000 in there? You have to decide, are we gonna hoard it and keep it, or are we gonna spend it on push over the roads, or are we gonna put it in, invest it into our municipal center?
Totally agree.
So,
We're not,
you gotta have
our
some.
job is to return back.
Yeah.
And whether that's more DPW, more police, some sort of service to the community. I don't care what the general fund is, if it's over 20%. And as long as the retirement is healthy for the employees, as long as we're properly staffed, and as long as when someone asks, why do I pay more taxes? The answer traditionally being because of all the great services. I don't have any answer other than, well, we have police and DPW, and every community does. So we either better have the best damn police department and DPW, and I think we do, pretty good, or we better be able to implement some new services, because there's no reason to have those funds in the general fund otherwise.
See how quick you went from being the best damn to being pretty good.
No, I caught that. I didn't say. Well, I mean, I had to, when I say the best police department, DPW, you're competing with LA County and FBI, I had to get it down.
I just immediately thought you were referring to DPW.
So I mean,
Again, I'm not saying we'll have more money next year, because like I said, in 2 years, your bond payments do fall off, and so that'll give you some breathing room.
That's, the breathing room is there only if you don't turn around and rebond.
Which I agree with.
But we're gonna turn around and have to fix some stuff, so.
Right.
and I'm fully prepared already for rebounding. I wouldn't want to, but we need to. Our roads are falling apart.
Do we still get gas and
But
waste?
you don't get that much in a rebond. You're not gonna get enough to fix the number of roads. that
My point is,
you
long-term,
inherited.
I'm not interested in sitting on cash for 10 years as these roads turn into the equivalent of this parking lot.
No, I know.
I'm already hearing about it every day.
I hear about it too, Eric, every day. I feel like we have done nothing to give back to this community in several years. We spent
Point being,
$700,000 for 98 Class B and got 300 back.
I don't, well, that was,
We've done
Someone
nothing
else
for
has said
this
it.
year, and it's falling
the point
apart.
is this, it doesn't matter if it's 700 or 800,000, we're not doing anything.
Right, and we didn't do anything.
So-
We're not doing anything with what we got from the township. It just sits there and falls down.
But I digress. Do we have anything more that's going to move us forward in this, or do we want to set another special meeting?
Oh, we didn't.
Or are we gonna keep going? Oh, I just need to consider it, so those are your choices.
I think we need
You
to,
touched base on
I don't know
it.
if we've actually made any tentative decisions
I've
yet,
made a few,
other than the.
I really, I can't look at
Okay.
these numbers, I need
Let's
that.
look at page 11. Let's focus on page 11.
11 of which sheet?
The only, yes. The parks. Don has mentioned about the retaining wall. It just so happens that number matched a couple years ago for some reason, I don't know. You had bids on retaining wall replacement. I talked to him, I said that could be something that in our passport recreation grants would be possibly eligible to replace that. Yeah.
Can you try and put another column here and put the numbers?
What numbers?
The 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, well, a lot of times people refer to it as the
You
account.
can't read the account number?
705, 715, okay, so I'm looking at the 810, contracted services, $18,038.
What retaining wall are we looking at?
At the beach, so you go down to the beach and at the, yeah,
I think I put in 16,000.
yeah, something like that. And then there's a couple other small things added into there.
So needs street.
Well, we could probably, we're looking at trying to get a grant. And if we get a grant, because that's what that's what we do our master plan, but we update our master plan, but we never apply for grants or we never do
Yeah.
anything. So,
I'd like to say that'd be a great Eagle Scout project, if anyone knows an Eagle
yeah,
Scout.
well, that's a little bit.
That's what, yeah, you need it back. A lot of
One of our
those.
Girl Scouts are retaining wall, Camp Agawam, it can be done.
Well, let me back up, so, if it can survive, it'd be 2 years before you get the money.
Sure.
Because April 1 of each year that the grants are due to the DNR.
But could it replenish today's costs or not?
We
spend it today.
No. No, it's a reimbursement. Once you get approved, you spend the money, and then you turn everything in, and you get reimbursed. But you gotta do it after you're approved. So it's a 2 year, that's why I said that, it's gonna last 2 years. He said, well, but on the one end, you may have to replace some boards, some timbers and stuff.
Do some patchwork, I mean,
But that's, that's best case scenario, you would put it in April 1, 19, you find out in like November of 19, and then you get funded in 2020.
I would like to just try to see if we can get some free money. So,
Right there.
And you're looking at 25% minimum your take, your input. Okay, you bump up to 26, 27%, you get a little bit better, scoring. So even, if, you get 70% of the money paid for.
What would be the approach on the grant, Ryan?
You've done the DNR trust fund grants or the passport recreation grant.
Odds on that.
The fact that you already have the park there, you have this trail system that's got a DNR things gone through it, I think you got a good track record with them, with the area.
and we did get a DNR grant when we built that beach house and
See, so they would tie that back to, okay, this community's doing this. They don't give you money for maintenance, but when something has outlived its life,
Right.
and it's a 20-year wall, it's been 20 years, can we get money to rebuild it? That's where you kind of fall, okay. You build a trail, they say, prove to us, we'll give you money for the trail, but prove to us you have money to maintain it for the next 20 years. We're not giving any money to maintain it. So, yeah, I mean, I would say your chances are 78%.
So what would we need to shore it up for this year and next year?
either, I'm gonna have to really go out and take a better look at it.
Yeah, I just did that yesterday.
Either try to replace some timbers or where they're rotted, we might be able to just take concrete and fill the rotted timbers and just kind of form up something. All it is the water washing and washing some of the sand when we get heavy rains. Just try to stabilize it.
What would you want to put in for that cost for this year?
Not a few $100.
So of the, what was it, you said we had here for the 15 or 16 for the?
For the contract service?
No, yes.
I think
There's
it's
18,000.
Yeah, some of that was already with the premise and stuff that was
I think it was 16.
so instead of 16, we could drop it down to 15 or 14 and still cover some material and labor to do the repairs. I mean, of your chunk, not this total.
The retaining wall was the only contract services in the parks that I had.
But if you wanted to save a little bit of money, well, it would be kind of services, it would be.
It'd be under materials.
Yes, right. So you could take that 16 out.
So eliminate 16 or 8, where do we get the 16?
16 is what the amount was for that. The other $2 grand was in there for other, like the other supplies and stuff that I had flown into there also.
So if you eliminate 16,
And I
then
already
just
had
put those
1,000
wages.
in materials.
And under materials 1,000, just put 2,000 there.
Yeah. So we're netting.
Under 787.
But just keeping in mind, if we didn't get the grants.
Yep.
Joe, you said the fund balance right now is $881,000 in combining the police and communications.
It wasn't the day that I did it. Yes. I went in and checked on the accounts at that time.
Okay, and then you're balancing general fund with 144,230? So that come off that
Yes.
881?
Yes.
So basically the $230,000 that we saved from police is built into this $881,000 fund, correct?
It's gonna flesh out in there somehow, yes.
That's the 50.
What else do you want?
Well, that was one I just wanted to touch base on. Again, okay, page 12, again, I talked about the bond and the last part of the general fund. March 2020 is in that $230,000 comes off. You got 300 grand going out. You got, this budget year. So the 18, 19, so about 2 years is the last payment for that.
Do you pay one off this year?
No, I think it's next year's the water one, I think. One more year in the water one. And then 2 years on this one. And then it's another 2 years out for another water one, I think.
But does DD have any left?
Yeah, they're 2 years, they have one on 2 years too, right, Glenn?
Yes, we're off in 2020.
And if you look at, see, the DDA, I haven't noted that the DDA went to, I thought, perhaps, that would have paid off. And one of the things I don't have in, under major streets, I have on page 12, major streets and the revenue part, I have 190,000 there. That was based on the formulas and stuff, and then Joe had it kind of already scored out, so much per population, so much per mile stuff. Well, they passed that new temporary or one-time shot in the arm, that the Oakland County's getting 7.1 million, with 24 grand. That's not figured into there yet. Again, that's road money, it's gotta go to the roads. It'll just flow and go into our fund balance. Because if you look at this year's, we're looking at revenue of 190, expenditures 139, so put 50 grand in major street funds. So that 50 grand will be added to the 219 that's already there.
Plus 20.
And then if we do the 24. Now, I don't know, on the state law, it's not, we might be able to use it on major or local on that. That one doesn't have as many strings tied to it. That's what I've been hearing from the state rep up where I live. That one doesn't have as many active strings tied to it. So we might be able to roll that into local. But major streets is the verdict project. And again, I used that because that's what you guys did last year. That's working on it, and the pilot program that the county was looking at is, they wanted you to pave a street that's gonna help draw people to come to your community, and I'm like, well, that's a connected road, and that was kind of the narrative that was here before, that kind of screws it up, talking tied it to that 24 thing. We get this in now, do it in 2019, and 2020, the downtown comes, and then it's just gonna feel more positive, I think. Look, and if that's what we need to get 30 grand or whatever, to use it on that road.
I'm just talking about it. Let's see, we gotta keep up. That shit's gonna.
Yeah, because your local street fund doesn't have a ton of money, it's 84,000. So hopefully we'll be able to use, maybe tuck away that 24 grand comes from the state into the local fund.
I'd like to put some money in tree replacement.
Yeah, so out in various areas, because I know the 24.
On the easements.
The 24 section is gonna get all, so I thought about that.
Residential.
Residential. I have nothing to say on that. I don't, is there ones that you want are coming down that need to be replaced, or you just want to get more out there?
One's replaced or in general.
Yeah.
Anything, I think everyone is supposed to be one. I think you start putting stuff out like that.
I think the problem is.
Sentiment.
Yeah, we've been.
People love them, geez, that'd be amazing, would be my guess.
Reforestation is a big issue because, you put the capital improvement out there to replace the trees. 40 years later, then you're either removing the trees, replacing sidewalks, it's into the sewer system. Reforestation can be, especially in your easements with your utilities and your overhead wires, it does create some really significant challenges. And back in the day, we must have got these silver maples, they must have been selling them for a nickel, because that's what we ended up with, a ton of silver
Those are
maples.
junk.
They are.
And
And they're tearing up the
they're tearing up the
sidewalks.
sidewalks, and
And
they're going in the sewers. And then the Edison comes through and they put the big crotch in them, and then they get dizzy. Reforestation in easements where there's utilities is very, very difficult. Because when you plant it, you have a water line, you have a sewer line, you have a gas service, and then you have overhead. Or in Oxford Lake's case, you have underground electrical.
What's the,
Disregard that, reforestation.
No.
you know, no problem.
No, that's.
Why does it,
That's all I need to
is
hear.
there a requirement, a law that says it has to be in the easement?
Well, Joe and I talked about that, because I'm all for reforestation, but we talked about doing like a lottery. We have $500 in the tree replacement program, doing a lottery. You go out and buy 10 trees. If people want a tree, they do a lottery, and then they get a tree. But they have to call a mistake, and they have to plant a tree in their front yard.
Yes,
But
back
I
to the
have
side.
no problem with that.
what Joe was saying, you're using public funds to
Right.
plant something.
That's a good question, that's a good point.
But there's gotta be a way, I mean, I don't know, lottery permit, like a jail, because we're.
No, I'm just
Or
saying.
something.
You can obviously spend it if it was
Yeah,
this side of the
but-
sidewalk. You go that side of the sidewalk, now you can.
But who's gonna put you in jail?
You know.
Hey, you don't have to worry about it. Yeah.
As of tomorrow, right? I'd be interested to know if we plant trees on private property.
We wouldn't plant the trees.
Or can we
would
give you a tree?
We would give them a
That's one of
tree.
those
And maybe
gray
it's-
areas that
you go
you
to the
do.
lottery.
What about in community
If there's
promotions?
property taxes, I think.
I mean, you just fit it in a community promotion.
Right. I mean, you could probably get away, again, the fact that you're going out by, hey, you draw your name out of a hat, that surely takes away all the, somebody, or why you're getting special treatment, blah, blah, blah.
Because you could do it something like the facade or sign grants that the downtown development authority does, where you gotta pull the money and say, hey, you want a tree in your front yard, submit an application to the village, and take it to the village council, you talk about what kind of tree you want, where you're gonna put it. If we select it, here's
Because then 50 years from now, when the tree is a mature tree,
Right.
it's the homeowner's responsibility to
Trim it, cut it.
maintain.
To see that something more selective, where, it's all Sue's friends, they're in the trees.
Yeah. Drawn out of a hat.
Right.
But
That's
You may
good.
not have, you may not have as many people as what you think that would want it.
I would take 10 trees in my yard.
I would take 5.
I'll take a couple.
Well, there you go, we're good for next year's budget. It's reforestation.
Doesn't sound like we would need that.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot.
Well,
I don't know.
with everything you do,
The private property is how to go about it.
with everything by giving them away.
About putting trees in any employee or
Absolutely. Well, but
it
that's,
could not be in
I don't think
anybody.
anyone here was serious, the least little bit.
with
No, I
everything
wasn't
that
talking about
goes
that,
into
but
that topic, I'd say
yes,
put the
rules.
$500 somewhere else in the line. It's just,
I mean, we did plant some trees on Lakeville Road, we planted some on Gillespie, I mean, there are some, we did some in the parks.
And, the DDAs, we got M24 being torn up, they're gonna need tree money.
Well, they're already got.
We've got trees in front of Centennial Park that we might have.
Well, one of them's coming down this year.
Well, we got a price on taking one tree out of Centennial Park,
Oh, which one?
the old silver maple that's in front of the
Back to the Silver Maple?
memorial garden, half the tree's gone.
There's the Pollyant Trail, I don't know, there's areas that could use some trees around
There's the
there.
last spot you could put them
Yeah,
where,
that are
on your own
on the
property, that would be added into the beautification and
I mean, there's an old box elder tree I'm looking to take down that's stricter. So, I mean, there's some opportunity to replant some trees there.
you can use more trees out there.
so you could buy $500 worth of trees and fill them on village property.
I'd still like to know the law about planting the tree in front of the property.
The biggest problem is how it's funded.
Right.
How do you take public funds to benefit private?
We'll go ahead and ask about things. See what they think.
What else is our one worth?
As long as Glenn's here, we should probably go through the DDA.
You're up.
What page is that?
Starts on page 18.
18.
Well, the good news is we're probably gonna carry $45,000 to $50,000 into our fund balance from this year. The bad news is next year's budget is forecasted to be about that same amount over our revenues because of construction and design services for the streetscape project. We have to pay for that this year, even though the grant won't fund it. The project doesn't go for 2020. So, that's the big items. You know, we've got money budgeted for some minor improvements in the downtown. We've got money budgeted for maintenance in the downtown in our capital improvements budget. We have money budgeted to, if we get the grant from National Historic Trust, to do the 50/50 match on design guidelines for downtown Oxford.
On what?
Design guidelines, formalized, customized design guidelines for the historic core to line up with our impending historic district. We took facade grants out for next year because I'm seeing the whole need of people wanting to improve their facade right before 24 gets torn out. So,
Unless it would be a perfect time to promote that kind of work.
we're having discussions, we're talking to people about it. You know, we've got an opportunity to get to chase after some free money from MEDC for facade grants. That's big project issues, so that might be something we put into the pipeline for 2021, is to get that money through the Michigan Strategic Fund in case we have an issue where somebody decides we're going to really do a major facade renovation at that point. Because those are projects, $50,000 to $100,000 match from MEDC, which is what we can't do that. So we took the money out of facade grants and we put it into, transfer to construction. We basically been pulling money out. We want to get about $100,000 a year into that construction fund because the DDA contribution for the 2020 streetscape is going to be roughly $430,000. And that's coming out of our fund balance in our annual budget.
And some from the village.
Can I
Yes.
ask
We
why
may not have to use them.
Martin's medical insurance went up $50,000?
He's old.
You really need to retire.
I'm old and because Joe was taking the buyout,
That wasn't a true representation of cost in the past. Like Brown is $4,800 a year. I'm $4,800 a year.
$21,000 is a lot for medical.
That's medical, dental, and vision, and short-term and long-term rolled in. It's 19, I think, for medical. Him and his wife.
I'm old.
That seems really high.
Everything is, some of the old ones were flat rate for single, flat rate for double, flat rate for family. Now they've switched to per person based on age. I'm not far behind you. The guy with the insurance is 53 and he's 55, I think.
That's amazing.
And most,
I'm not that old. I am younger than that, and you are not far behind me.
Believe me, that Glenn, I think Glenn about fell out of his chair and came talking right away about that same number.
Yes.
He's like, what happened?
Fortunately, though, our revenues are projected, to be quite healthy. We've been budgeting under revenues by about 10% for the last 3 years.
I'm just startled by the number.
So you've gotten that other 14 from.
Yeah, we've adjusted that in there today.
We finalized the last couple $100 today. It all fits in because our revenues have been under budgeted by about 10% for the last 3 years. So we actually decided to then budget next year's revenues based on last year's actual revenues.
Yes, if you look at top of page 19, 2 years ago, the budget for August went at 167, and then the following year they budgeted at 160. Well, it didn't go down, it was going up. And then again, this year, it's gone up a little bit more, so we're trying to actually follow the, no sense putting 165 in there, it's only 175. the township tax base went up by about a little over 4% this year. And because you're not charging the full amount, you don't get beat back by the Headley Amendment. You already have a lot of headroom in there. If you were charging the full amount, of course, you get beat back with the Headley, you get the Headley roll back. Because you're at 10.6 and you're able to charge 13.5, 8, you can go up and not get beat back because you can capture the full depreciation and stuff. So that's, you haven't captured as much as you could, but because you haven't, you're able to capture it as you go and not get beat back by the Headley.
We're putting in 2 more grants this spring. This week they've already applied for $33,000 worth of grants. And they've got another $50,000 worth of grants with no match application this month to look at downtown infrastructure improvements.
Did our workers' comp go up like our medical did?
Not really, it was about 5%, it might be a different allocation of it. I look at,
Les went up
He's very accident prone.
500%.
Yeah.
I don't do math.
well, I look at it like, okay, where's the exposure? The DDA guys are out there, the DPW guys
Don't
are out
fall and
there.
break a hip, Glenn.
I don't know. You know, the DPW, the police, about 40% of the exposure I figure, 20 and 20. And then there's some of the DPA. It's not nearly as much exposure to you guys or myself as there are, you know, DPA putting on events downtown and people tripping over 10 stakes. That's not works count, that's your liability, but, you got the DPW guys putting in time down there as well.
But all of our employees have been excellent.
Yeah, we've had good modifiers, good reports from NML. Everyone seems to be behaving well in that realm.
Is the DDA redoing your website?
There's $8,000, no. There's a bunch of money in there for the website.
Yeah, did you put money in here for
I don't believe there's much.
all the websites to get updated?
No, I gotta go back to where that would be.
That needs to be done. That's the priority.
There's one other area.
But that's gotta be done.
Or I think where that was under
And if you need to hire a professional, to come in and do it one time.
Promotions.
And then,
miscellaneous, waivers, public relations, community promotion, downtown recreation, cable commission, that's something we'll check out. And I don't have anything in particular too, I know that's something you brought up.
yeah, we need to get a newsletter out.
I think more important than either of those, obviously, the webpage, we need to channel the funds to the promotion and where people go. And that's Facebook, that's social media. And as ridiculous as it might sound, that's where people get their news. They're not going to the village website to get updates and snow emergencies, they're going to the social media. So, I mean, I understand there's a group of people that do not, a demographic that does not. It's like 20% statistically. I am concerned that we are focused on that 20% as opposed to 80 in disseminating our news. We're talking about different announcements, snow emergencies, broadcasting of new information and ordinances. We have to get a way to get it out. OCTV is great, the leader is Primo. But we have to be responsible to some degree of our own information dissemination.
And it should come from us.
Absolutely.
So we need to have money in there for social media,
Okay.
to include all.
Let me circle back around then.
They're not going to websites, they're going to promotion, it spreads like wildfire.
Yeah, but we don't want a Facebook page
Absolutely. All of it is.
that is like that either.
Let me go back, I just realized one of my notes here, I want to tear his cap off. Mr. Benson over there is pretty valuable, and he's getting his master's this summer, if all goes as planned. He's currently working 3 days a week here at $17 an hour. I plugged him in at 4 days a week at $18 an hour. there's a small increase. Again, social media thing he did for the DDA, you saw there's one
Right,
product there.
right.
I don't know how long we're gonna be able to retain him even at that.
I completely agree.
Another position that was never posted.
I didn't create it.
I'm not saying you did, but you're about to create this position that was never posted.
That's why I
Give it to
remember my
them.
notes, and I went back, right.
I'm a yes on that.
Because he's helping in the building department. He's helped with the DDA one day a week for a while here. I don't know if that's a long-term thing or not. I don't think so. So, not saying that we would, perhaps if they keep him doing
We
something
like
with them.
Yeah,
But that's up to DDA on that one
Where do you
day.
get those pins?
Did you put,
I've got one
They're in the
there.
office.
Absolutely.
He gave me a couple of them.
Did you make those yourself?
No, Lee Roast. Were you the one who got this way back in the day? Pins?
Years ago.
yeah,
Classic.
we used to have money to do that. We used to have money to
That's good promotion.
buy the people.
Right, right now.
Parades, handing them out to kids at a parade.
Do you still have
What is a
half
trillion of those cost?
Water is super. He had the revenues coming in two different ways. One was your
You want
flat.
to say?
Well, comes in, so usage, and it comes in at the hourly.
I combine them together. Because someone pays their water bill, everything else.
You might want to tell everybody this table that, and just let Blade see what he has.
The revenues on a water bill were brought in, there was two revenues. One was the usage and one was the operating. When you get your water bill, if you don't use a drop of water, you still pay your regular sewer fee, as a lot of people call it, whatever, it's $20 a month. And you pay so much in your commodity. Versus having them coming in two different revenue streams, I combine them. Like if somebody has an $80 bill and they get an $80 bill, it's all using $5 into one. It's the same dollar amount, I just combine them together.
Good with that? I don't have a problem with it.
I've never seen it broken apart like that.
There's a reason that.
And I get that there had to been. I mean, I don't know why you would take that and break it out. If you want to know what your costs are your costs. I mean, certain things are gonna cost more, your highland treatment guys, whatever. Maybe that was a reason they wanted to know how much does it cost to produce water and how much does it cost to deliver the water? I don't know.
Because it looks like we're still up. Collection says we're already higher than we had budgeted, and we got 2 months left.
Don was out shaking bushes today, he collected some. He was
But
turn off.
sewer is gonna be tight.
He's in my front yard.
But I think that we were
Couple burly guys.
robbing the water.
Pay up, pay up.
accounts to
There was a little too much coming back than
Right.
we needed it.
administrate.
No, but all I'd say is, it looks like sewer's gonna be a little short, but water's gonna be up compared to the budget.
Yes.
I'm not saying we're helping.
Right.
But we're gonna make budget be a little up. I mean, water's already there. And we got 2 months left.
Training costs, if we're moving on. Either your departments anticipate.
You have a little bit of
Any interest?
Yeah, probably throughout all the different accounts, probably have $1,000 built. It's not,
Is that enough?
what I've been working with for years.
But is it enough?
Like this year, we didn't go to the safety conference. We did a year or two ago, the Michigan Safety Conference. And then myself and another employee that carries our S license to keep our continuing ed credits. So that's on a 3-year cycle, so you can take someone to continuing ed credits a year. It's sufficient.
Chief?
Yeah, we're sufficient where we're at right now, yeah. There's
And Coles, you do a lot of Coles.
Yeah, and Coles. And we do a lot of in-house training too, the guys are certified in, so I save a lot of money. So the only thing I think we're gonna be doing extra outside, but it's called, we're paying the consortium, is everybody's pretty much covered the EDO this year, so. That's the vehicle.
That's the fun part, right?
Yeah. I only hope that it's not one of our vehicles that we use, but I like to throw on somebody else's. I mean, training with someone else's.
Right.
Okay, talk about more equipment for.
Sure.
Equipment.
Your last page.
Page 26.
Next to last.
Page 26. We have a fund balance here at the bottom, 242,000. And I'm not sure if we still are because the project got moved to 2020, it's in 2019. But we're looking at possibly funding some of the downtown construction out of our motor equipment fund as a loan. Correct?
Yes, that's still in there, but that's a moving target this time.
Right.
Was it 100 grand? Was
Yes.
it thinking?
Yeah, 100,000. In past years, I've given the council a list of equipment that's aging and that we're looking, to replace. And I think I gave you a 3 to 5 year plan. We have a couple of big pieces of equipment that are quite expensive. Now, previous years, we were taking the 65,000 that was supposed to go to this fund balance and return it back to the general fund, but I just, this amount of money makes me a little nervous when you start looking at equipment that's $150,000. New vac truck, and I'm not talking new, like if we bought a used vac truck that was 5 years old, our vac truck's 1987. Today, yeah, we have no problem, we put a little bit of money into it, but we don't have any issues. It's not worth selling or getting rid of because there's nothing, it's not worth anything. It's worth us having it in our shop and running it right to the end of its life. But I just want council to be aware that this number, especially if we do a loan to the DDA for construction, this number is a little low. We have some aging equipment.
Where did the tax loan come from?
The M24 project, that was kind of already on the drawing board, but I think part of the reason they targeted discounts, they thought that was the one with some money. But now that we've got those combined, it's not the one with all the money. It might be better to borrow from the general fund. It's gonna be paid back over, what kind of time frame? 1 year? The DDA is gonna pay it back, but in order to get in,
Was that going to be discussed with council as a whole?
I thought it was.
It was at that meeting.
What was that?
The joint one was that, Glenn, when we voted to,
The budget was presented at that meeting. It's always been pretty common knowledge that we were using
that was
that
part of
funding
that.
mechanism.
Don't seem to have a good flow of information. This is not real common knowledge to me.
Well, I think that $65,000 was taken.
It was discussed at that meeting that we had at the library that night.
Well, that's
It
not,
was all presented.
What meeting?
that's not an action meeting. I mean, we can talk about concepts all day long, but if we don't vote on it, it's not
Weren't you
something
there?
that's...
You were there.
The downtown meeting, on the streetscape?
Yeah, and everybody agreed to do it, huh?
Took the joint meeting on October 16th. I don't think Eric was there.
No, I wasn't there, I was on vacation. I think we should probably run that by council for a vote, because we can talk about concepts all day long, but
I would
that's not
say,
gonna work.
it wasn't the streetscape, I know it was discussed, I'm not gonna say I remember what happened with that.
So you're not gonna do a loan on motor equipment, is that correct?
I think at this time, knowing that we got the funds combined, the healthier fund would be the general fund.
Because I don't
If
think
you're
you
gonna do-
take money out of motor equipment and just loan it out to somebody.
Well, sewer and water, people take it out sewer and water fund with the.
That's sewer and water, but I don't think you can on motor
Yeah,
equipment.
well, I don't know about water equipment, if it has a different restriction, that's like sewer and water, it's restricted funds either way. But yeah, I'd be more comfortable taking it out of the one with 800 grand, out of the one with 200.
Definitely, I'd be more comfortable though putting it on an agenda and presenting information and voting on it.
And let's read the minutes and see if we did that and see where we're at.
We definitely didn't vote on it at the library.
I don't think we voted at the library either, but we voted on anything at the library.
Yes,
So-
we did.
I don't think you can hold a business meeting at the library with 3 different
It was a
departments.
combined meeting.
Can't take action.
If you wanted to post a council meeting somewhere else, post it, that's where you're gonna be.
I'd like to read, I'd like some knowledge on that, because I haven't even seen a review of minutes on that topic.
Let's just get the background on it,
Okay.
move on to the next meeting.
So that 65,000 that was taken out of motor equipment to fund the general fund, that happened for 8 to 10 years. So that's like 650,000 extra dollars that we would have in our motor equipment fund to buy equipment.
If you look at the bottom of page 27, you see 2 years ago, that's the last entry where it happened.
And we talked about that last.
Yeah, and I
Last
questioned,
Last
remember
budget
we
year.
questioned Joe on it? He had no, or whatever.
I think you questioned the year before also.
Right,
Question you
so I raised it.
Yeah.
It's been questioned and no answer.
So, you know, a couple of good sized pieces of equipment and that was not there.
Is there a benefit though in keeping it in that fund as opposed to the general, when ultimately if that situation happens, it's just gonna come from the general anyways?
Certain money has to go into there.
Sure.
From the roads, as you charge for roads and stuff. I mean, if you put that money in there and it was all used up, you're not getting the fund balance, okay, as long as you know what's over here. The idea is that you're making a conscious decision, if there's any extra, to leave it over in there or plan for those replacements.
I would not want to put it in the general fund, because somehow that gets,
Right, that's it, by leaving it over there, leaving it in there, you know it's kind of what it's there for.
Earmarked.
Again, it's not like restricted funds. If it was general fund money that floated in there, anybody down the road would say, well, I'm gonna pull it back if it was just general fund money. But
What's your preference?
I like the idea, but like I said, a little bit, if you notice up top, a little bit of this money, and I highlighted along the edge, up in the general fund, are spinning off and going to this revenue here. So at the top of page 27, you got Fraser Street kicking in 18 grand, local streets 12, DPW general fund, do the various little general fund kick off, 24,000 going into it, sewer and equipment, and sewer and water, another 66,000. That's what makes up the revenue. Those are the only revenue streams for this fund. And then we charge, accurately, what the DPW and the admin stuff. I don't know if I have anything, I don't leave any admin on there, strictly DPW cost. The biggest change in the expenses is that contribution to general fund. Took that 65 grand out there, it would have been about 100 grand, 96 grand in expenses, now we're at 80. Slightly less expenses. Taking that contribution to the general fund out of the picture. There's still a contingency in there. Well, to Don's point, is that thing's been borrowed on or diverted away for a number of years, so that's why it only shows that, what was it, 180 or 240? 242, and it's showing 44 grand going in this year. That would add to that. So the fund's on the right trajectory. We have to allocate and charge things to it that actually should be charged to it, and leave it alone, and then I think it'll be all right. If it ever needs down the road, if, something happened and you needed, wham, bam, you needed 400 grand, there's only 350 in there, then you say, all right, well, maybe we need 50 out of our general fund and go in here to make it right.
In sewer and water equipment, you're charging rentals of the facilities back to the motor equipment, right? The building?
I don't know.
Pardon?
We did that when the water and sewer fund, when we built that building in 2000 or 2001, we took a loan from the water and sewer.
No, No, we're not talking about his rent. The auditors, a couple years back, said you should be charging rent.
Over and above the equipment and labor?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't call that.
Yeah. To maintain the building.
We maintain the building that the equipment resides in?
Well, that would,
Be another overhead cost of the equipment and labor then, you're saying, it's not just the cost of the backhoe and the guy, it's the building that resides in, you should roll into the equation as well. Are you allowed to do that for the MDOT? For streets, for when you charge the streets, do they call it, I haven't seen that schedule, though. You know, when
We
you
don't
charge.
have MDOT streets.
Well, the gas tax, I mean, when you charge the rent, the rates and stuff to the,
the MDOT schedule,
The equipment rental schedule?
right, the equipment rental schedule.
if they don't allow to charge the.
Some of the auditors might have changed their mind, but at one time,
Yeah,
the auditor said that where you house the equipment at,
can be charged back.
can be charged back to motor equipment, so that if you need to do any repairs to the building, you got money in there to do it.
Something to look at, but I think right now, I'm going on past practice of the DPW, how it's charged out. And the fund will continue to grow if it's kept in this fashion.
Far more simplified than it has been the last 2 years.
So from what I've gathered, we need to put money in for social media, whatever that is. Right?
The other challenge too is somebody in charge that to keep up on it. Right, it's pretty much a daily, weekly thing.
So records keeping it in for legal purposes as well as potential construction. You can't just have, hey, I really like social media, I'm pretty good at it, whatever. Right?
I don't do my own Facebook page, so I don't have much experience in it. Last time I posted on Facebook was 3 years ago when my dad died. I think it's probably the only time I posted on there.
I'm inclined to think that it should be informational, like if you have a new ordinance.
Absolutely.
please
No
go
bounce
to-
back.
No, please go to
Definitely
the
no bounce.
website. Right, please go to the website and read the whole ordinance. You don't print it all on Facebook, you just notify people, correct?
Yeah, you're right.
You can give links to the right directory.
Exactly. But first, we just need to get something up to date. And if you guys, three of you guys work together, yours should be updated too. It should all be done at the same time.
Yeah, I keep track of ours, pretty much.
I'm talking about the website.
Oh, yeah, oh yeah, we've talked.
Yeah, we're.
So did anybody put it in their budget?
It's in his budget, we gotta talk to Joe about getting
Yeah,
it. Warrant our budget, we
we'll
haven't
find
got
out.
the exact number yet, but,
The program that we want to use isn't very much.
well, a new one, no, what we currently use is not. Right?
We
A new
even thought
one
the mid-grade one we could get for $5,000 or something.
Are you gonna revamp, just start from scratch and start it all over?
We haven't had a lot of conversation about it. We were trying to just tweak the other one and upgrade it, make it look where it's presentable and it has the correct information on it. And that's all we've got to the point.
We're having this go, we're looking at all the different avenues. Joomla is just not a very user-friendly platform, and it doesn't have a lot of the functionality that you need, whether that's a news kind of flash section where you can put up, hey, it's got a new ordinance, or hey, this event's going on this weekend.
Have you checked into what the township does? Because they've got a pretty good website.
They use, they're not revised.
So does Park and
I've looked at it, I don't know their content management platform right offhand.
I don't know, township's website, all that, operate.
There are a ton of options. I mean, there are a lot of companies that specialize just in municipal websites. There are ones that.
And that's what we need.
They'll.
Right.
So I got a quote a couple years ago
Needs to be-
for $23,000.
Well,
And $9,000 a
Was it
year to
Civic
maintain
Falls?
it. It was a nice one.
And speaking about, I asked about training because this is a topic where MML puts on training, all sorts of consultants put on training. And if you have 3 people maintaining or functioning or operating or posting on a website, everybody should be on the same page.
Right.
I'm sure it's cheap if not free. It's just a matter of reaching out to them and saying, can you send your social media consultant down and sit 3 feet apart? Think about.
All right, so my notes were social media, we're gonna go, you're gonna reconfigure the $1 an hour for police.
The garbage thing.
Full-time
Take,
police officer.
the rubbish thing,
And yes, on the car.
take the car out. Take the car out.
Hat.
Yeah. And what was the other thing?
Altogether, the full-time position as opposed to part-time.
Oh, yeah.
Cost, full-time versus, part-time versus full-time on the officer.
We can sit down and work.
I like information on DDA law. But I like it on a village meeting.
And I'd like to see the next, the 1 or 2 meetings that we discussed.
I find out when those were, I mentioned October or something like that.
Not that I'm opposed to it, I just like to know under what authority it was approved at a different meeting.
Oh, and then
And then because Terry and Billy
oh, yeah.
left, we discussed cable.
You were gonna leave the legal the same because of those 2 losses.
Right.
That was another one.
We're already going from 2 to 1.5 to 2, if you give them the full pay. And, why give the other half now when you're in a deficit?
Right.
I'm not interested in increasing.
I'm not either.
The big thing, I think it's in August.
They're getting a 2% increase now. It's not our fault that AT&T customers left and went to direct and came back and they lost that. It's not, and that just happened. That's not, that wasn't anything the village took away, that was the customers.
No, I think they mean
Increase.
2.5 that they're getting instead of the 5,
Right.
the village can have.
Right.
That's
Right, but they never got the 2% PEG fee from AT&T before. We just voted on, just
They're
starting.
gonna keep the 2.5 because they're getting 2 somewhere else, so they can keep this 2.5.
No, she's saying keep,
No.
just do 2.5 and 2.5 right now. She's saying they're already going from 2.5 to 4.5 if you give them the 2 pay fee.
Right.
Right.
So we're keeping the other 2.5.
Correct. From both.
At least, my suggestion would be at least for another year or 2, we got the bond payments.
I don't have a problem. I just want to make sure we discuss it again before the contract comes up on November 19th.
Yes, for the charter one is the one that the OCCC,
Right.
whatever it is all part of, and I believe what's gonna happen there is everyone in that entity is gonna be their own franchise and have their own franchise agreement. Just, I don't think the state's gonna allow that type of conglomerate again, or that franchisees all be under one. It's gonna be the same uniform franchise video act that the state of Michigan uses for every franchise, the same contract for AT&T, same one for Charter, same for Comcast, they're all exactly the same. And you're gonna be with the franchisee and the cable company. I don't know if there's gonna be the ability to do the 5-person or 4-person group effort again, is my point.
But that's how,
You guys can all decide to still have your consortium and fund it however you want, but the individual franchise agreements are probably gonna be done to each individual entity moving forward, not the 4
But
under one umbrella
that is-
contract.
but that is not, it wasn't formed under individual, it was formed under 4I. So how can they eliminate that? Because that's,
You talking about the entities in the, there's 4 entities, right? 2 villages, 2
Correct.
townships that are part of the cable commission.
so they can't say, okay, village, we're negotiate with you, and Addison, we're gonna negotiate with you.
I don't know. It's
They
dictated by the
negotiate
state.
with the whole.
It's dictated by the state. The franchise agreements are dictated by the state of Michigan. I guess, I don't know. My guess is that they're probably gonna have they're gonna want to have one franchise agreement with each entity. Now, you guys can collectively come together and still fund the consortium, and then I would assume. But I'd be surprised, I could be wrong, but I'd be surprised if they're gonna, that they're
Well,
not
we
gonna
all
wanna have.
five, or all four of us have to sign the one agreement, because that's what the consortium is.
That's your desire, but I'm not sure if that's gonna be allowed, that's all my point is.
Stay that way,
Yeah.
but I'm not
So what
sure.
you're, so what you're saying is the state of Michigan said, we want one franchise agreement that covers 4 entities.
Right.
I'm not sure if that'll be allowed. They like that one with every franchise, you are the franchise entity, you are the franchise entity, and there's an agreement with you and one-on-one. I don't know if that old thing's going to be allowed.
On the
So
topic,
if they don't allow that, then does that mean that the consortium ceases to exist?
You guys can still have your consortium that's funded, however you want to fund it through whatever garnered. You guys meet and decide as a group how you want to share those funds, how individuals you're going to bring to the table. I don't know. I'm just saying, that's an older, that's not, the uniform franchise agreement is what's in the state of Michigan now. That uniform for a reason is the same across the whole state. That old agreement you have here doesn't conform to what they want nowadays. So
All right,
that
so
comes
we're
up next year, the
leaving
charter one.
Cable at 2.5%.
Well, I think we should-
AT&T and charter.
they came to us last year, and I know at the meeting, it was not recalled, but they had asked us to remember it at budget time. We didn't make any discussion about it, we didn't take any action. 2 years in a row, I think we have a responsibility to make a decision at a meeting, as opposed to just, yeah, we talked about it, let's just, one way or another, we should be held accountable, and purpose of transparency, get it out, make a decision, let everyone have their vote.
What is the original intent of that 5%?
The franchise fees, they go to the franchise, because you're the ones who are out there maintaining, you're out there taking care of the right of way, plowing snow, just to help you fund. You're to field complaints and then forward them to the state of Michigan. The state of Michigan will send you a thing like once a year, have you had any complaints on cable this year? And if so, you know, fill out a form.
So we will do now that money to the DPW because they're the ones maintaining the right of way?
Have you been? I don't know.
Because that's what the money's for. If that's what we're not giving the cable commission for, it should go to the DPW.
Well, the DPW is funded almost exclusively through general fund money. Right, so,
That money could exclusively go to
yes.
nature and
So,
Lowell, and not just be here for us to buy a tree for Eric's yard.
I don't see it. I don't want any more.
Exactly. And what a tree guy.
So needing a utility issue. $14,000
Not educated me.
$14,000 doesn't go a long way in funding the DPW and their things, so
26.
that's what we take in, but I mean, I'm just talking about the AT&T one, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's $35,000. That builds a retaining wall.
Yeah. But that's not part of the right of way, so that might be a little.
But it's DPW, it's the equipment.
Well, when I refer to DPW, I'm talking about
It's
when
the guys,
when they
the
go,
wages.
when they're replacing sidewalks, when they're taking down trees or, you know, in the area and stuff.
So there's your tree.
That's the money should be, the cable money should be used for right-of-way.
That's kind of the
Taken
easy
care of.
for it.
And
Again,
It shouldn't be rolled into.
the state will ask us periodically, once a year, hey, we had any complaints, forward them on to the state of Michigan, we want to know.
So
Yeah, we know how many
then you have
goes together.
administrative costs.
So don't be trying to get administrative.
Well, if you get 1% of the work, that's really going to do.
I just, if we're not gonna get back to the cable commission or AT&T, that I think we need to sit here and say, it's for right of way, let's put it towards right of way. And that's what we do with that.
And that's easy enough to do, because it's all right, instead of giving them 20 grand of general fund over here, you give 14 grand of this.
Here again,
It's
6 and 1.
I think it's like the state lottery, that money shouldn't take money away from the schools, or replace money the schools are getting. Should be on top of what they're already getting.
So wait, do you guys want the next agenda to have a discussion about like?
Absolutely.
The week from tonight's a public hearing on the budget. And then,
Are we gonna
it's
have
regular-
any meetings?
And it's a council meeting. And it's a regular scheduled meeting. The adoption isn't, that's just for input. The adoption, and then it's 2 weeks later. So you can have your public hearing, but before you have a public hearing, you're supposed to have this available to like 5 days out. But it even says in the thing, the law, you know, if you don't have Even if you don't have.
You make changes, right?
Yeah, even if you didn't have a public hearing, you still adopt your budget, but they, you're supposed to. And we plan on it, it's in the paper, and you guys do the public hearing on it.
So we'll get new paperwork when? 9 o'clock tomorrow morning?
Sure.
Okay, cool. I'll wait at home for it.
I'm not delivering, I'm emailing it.
Oh, okay.
Are we?
I'm not printing it.
Not printed. My printer won't come like this.
No, that's still that I didn't blend.
So are we having another budget meeting, or is this?
Do we need one?
I want to see these numbers here. If you're not gonna do it, I'm gonna go home.
That I won't have by the morning.
Exactly.
I can have the other stuff by the morning.
So I want to go through
We
these
need
numbers
stuff,
one here.
plug in
I
other
think there's
stuff.
numbers here that are really high or really low.
I would like to have a meeting to specifically determine that if there's the ability to look into, do we consider these numbers to be realistic, inflated, underinflated? Is there any way to tell period based on past practices? And if there's not, it'll be a 5 minute.
That was the 2 minutes.
When realistically, when we have these numbers on here?
That wouldn't be too hard to put that column in and crunch those numbers down to do that.
They can go right here.
Well, no, you can add a column, you just click a button, it's gonna add a column for you. And then I had.
I just don't want to screw with formulas.
No, but if you do it properly, it will move everything over, not mess up your formula.
Just extra save somewhere else in there.
Well, I've got to save it
Several places.
several days each day.
Is this administrative talk or something?
Then they've done that.
So by the end of the day tomorrow, if you wanted to meet Thursday, we could have this squared away and post it tomorrow and meet Thursday.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, I actually worked 6 o'clock Thursday night, gets killed last week. I'm losing some major overtime. Come on, Thursday. I can do Thursday. Can we drop it there?
6 o'clock.
Don't have to leave.
Well, oh yeah, so you can't get out in the day.
No, but you guys can start with your circles. Well, we work, I'm the only one who
I didn't know what your schedule is,
Right.
maybe you have Thursdays
If
off.
you guys want to do Thursday, I'll just be late, I'll be there about 6:30.
Third, in 2 days? Is that what we're talking about?
At 6:30? I could do that.
Dave, are you
Thursday at
available
6:30?
today?
Do we need you down or chief? I don't think. Have to be there.
It would probably be helpful for, if you're gonna have the information on the comparables, part-time versus
Oh,
full-time.
these things?
If, maybe that's pushing it, I don't know.
I don't know if he has any input on the cost structure of the benefits and all that stuff, like I do. I mean, his would be more like, how beneficial is it overall, I guess? And I think I know his answer to that.
Thumbs up. We can talk about it, if
Yeah.
it's something that's not feasible, then we can.
Yeah, okay, all right, well,
My budget is the same. In fact, I lowered some areas like under salt, I lowered it about $4,000.
And you say you won't be there on Thursday?
If you want to be there,
that's not what it is.
that's not what I'm supposed to say.
I wasn't gonna go there, but I think you may have just thrown one under the bus. Like, I mean, not that we're talking about department administrators being top notch.
Okay, then.
Why don't we roll along with that 12 days, so if we can squeeze another one in.
I never found out doing 12. We've had years when we've done more than 12. But we really didn't touch water and sewer.
No.
I just think we've got more to do.
Well, I know the two, James and Evan, were concerned about the water and sewer,
At least.
and they felt we needed to raise the rates. So I think we need to either, and they said it publicly, so I think both James and Evan were concerned about the water and sewer.
Yeah.
Felt that we needed to raise the rates. And even Joe felt we needed to raise rates.
I don't disagree, but when you look at it, the water fund has met its budget.
Right.
We have 2 months left, and then 2 of the higher months Well, they're really not. But there's gonna be more funds. It's the sewer that looks like it's gonna be short.
Definitely need to do some forward thinking, but I don't know if it needs to be.
Well, and the sewer one, there's quite a hit coming from the county this year. If you notice in the sewer,
Right.
it's 25% hit now. They said, well, we're thinking about maybe doing a 3-year average and only kind of going up a little bit because of the user fees that they're getting. So then you have the bond payments that you have no choice over. So you don't have much on the sewer end of things to help you out other than raising the rate to meet those obligations. Because you don't want to deplete your funds unless if you build a project, fine, you're doing a $200,000 water main, okay, you spend money, but you don't want to deplete it just to get you by month, year to year. You want to build it, if anything. Like,
So, Thursday at 6:30, we need a motion? Motion to schedule a special meeting Thursday, May 3rd at 6:30 PM in the Oxford Village. This is community room.
theater.
Okay, we have a motion by Helmut, supported by Bailey, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Thank God it's a long time.
Public comment? You were Drew, have anything to say?
I don't. It's a chore, and we do some changes and stuff, I know.
Okay. Council comments? Anybody? I have none. Okay.
Make a motion to adjourn at 8:56.
Motion by Helmut, supported by Bailey, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.